The early cycle is here, and this is the iPhone 16 in this ultramarine blue, which we have some thoughts of, but this is not the only new thing with the iPhone 16 series. There's a ton of other features and differences in design that we will talk about. However, one thing that stays the same is the $799 price tag and the 60 Hz panel, which we will touch on, as you're probably going to gather later in this review. However, what you have here is essentially Apple's entry into its iPhone ecosystem, I guess, its system of phones, etc. But the iPhone 16, we know what it is and we know what to expect, but the question is the iPhone 16 any good? Let's find out. The redesign, let's talk about that. Let's start at the rear. Cameras instead of going at an angle and now flush to one side as they were on the iPhone X. And the reason for this is for spatial photos and videos if you have Apple's VR. Just to mention off the outset, no Apple Intelligence in this device just yet here in the UK. That will go live later in the year, possibly even next year. In terms of other components that are redesigns, you do get now the action button, which you found on the Pro series last year, and most significantly, the camera control button. All of these improvements, I'm actually quite surprised they actually came to the standard 16 and weren't retained just for the Pro models, but it's good to see. It actually makes probably buying a Pro model over the normal a bit more difficult, and that actually is reflective in the pre-order and this pre-sales have happened since its launch. The other main component is the colors. They are super vibrant this year. This is sort of the hero color for the 16 series on the base model, which is the ultramarine blue, and then there's a ton of other colors as well. So in terms of the redesign, it's actually reasonably significant compared to the 15 of last year. So let's talk about that rear and especially those two cameras. So speaking about those, you get a 48 megapixel wide at f1.6, a 12 megapixel, which is brand new on the ultra wide at f2.2. Recording on this is capped at 4K 60 on the rear, and on the front it is again capped at 4K 60, both which are pretty sick. Now when it comes to the actual setting up of your iPhone, as soon as you go into camera, it wants you to use its new photo styles, which, just for the offset, we have not used. Essentially they act as different level filters to an extent on your normal photographs. However, one thing we will say, and this is probably prominent in every review you'll ever watch, is Apple has somehow maintained over so many yearly cycles, as we cycle through the photos and video examples we've shown you here, to retain that same sort of style throughout its entire series for such a long period of time. So in terms of photo and video, yeah, the quality is, as you'd expect, very much the top end, which is sick. Ultra wide doesn't perform quite as well as the Pro models, but still it's an improvement. And then when you come across to things like night mode, again, it adds color and brightness, but the quality is still retained. So this is actually a premium high-end device when it comes to photos. Moving on to videos, Apple will, and forever, for as long as I can recall anyway of using a mobile phone, they will be untouchable when it comes to video output. It is sick, super vibrant, great colors, excellent color balance, not overly saturated like you do, like for example on the Samsung phone, which we daily drive every day. Overall though, the quality of the cameras of the 48 and the 12 megapixel ultra wide, which again is new, are top notch, and actually quite difficult to justify spending a bit more money unless you wanted all the additional Pro specs on the Pro model. But we will be reviewing the 16 Pro Max later in the week, which will be live, so keep an eye on the channel for that one. But our impressions of the 16's cameras are very, very good. Let's talk iOS 18 and the A18 processor within the iPhone 16. So what I would say, A18 processor, in terms of benchmarks, it absolutely smashes it. Pro level specs in terms of really high end, in terms of efficiency, battery life, etc. If battery efficiencies and its processing really, really high end, and it needs to be to run Apple Intelligence, which unfortunately, as we said earlier, isn't available on device. But at the moment, I would say that A18 processor, because it's been purpose built for the iPhone 16 series, not the Pro models, just the 16 and the 16 Plus, it does perform really well, and it's good that they haven't recycled an old processor. Moving on to iOS 18, you've probably seen tons of this, but we're going to quickly give you an overview. Really nice to see some customization options in terms of layout of the home screen. which is great. So it allows you to kind of navigate and choose how you want your home screen to look, which you couldn't before, so that you place in icons wherever you want to. And then control center, we like the standard look, to be fair, but you can redesign this if you wanted to, as much and as little in terms of moving and adding icons as you like, which is amazing. Moving on from that, if you look at things like animations, again, they look great. In fact, on an iPhone, they're pretty much untouchable when it comes to, in comparison to every other brand. Our biggest sticking point and our biggest negative component within the iPhone 16 has been its panel, 60 Hertz. Some may be like, oh, who cares? It doesn't matter. It definitely matters. A CMF Phone 1, which costs a quarter of the price, has 120 Hertz panel. This is a 60 Hertz panel. And for some reason, Apple, hopefully the last year, they're still sticking with that 60 Hertz panel. It's a massive put off if you've come from a high refresh rate panel to then move across to something that's so low. And you definitely can tell and notice, especially if you've come from a higher refresh panel. A 799 and having a 60 Hertz panel is absolutely criminal. You cannot justify why they're doing this. So our final thoughts on the iPhone 16. Plus points, camera amazing, battery life has been a huge improvement, up to 2 hours, depending on the model you pick, compared to last year. It's more efficient, it runs faster, it comes with a lot of the pro features like the action button and the camera control function. All of that is amazing. However, we're gonna say, do not buy the iPhone 16 for 2 reasons. One, the 60 Hertz panel. It's criminal in 2024 to have a 60 Hertz panel on a phone. For reason number 2, that costs $800. As an example, the Samsung S24 FE, which will release roughly towards the end of this month, maybe early next month, give or take, will definitely have a 120 Hertz panel and would be probably around $200 less than this. Take the Pixel 9 standard, which would be its direct competitor with double camera lens on the back, same as the iPhone 16. That has a 120 Hertz panel that's LTPO, that goes down from 1 all the way up to 120 Hertz. So again, it's criminal that they're charging $800 for a phone that can only give you a 60 Hertz refresh. Also, the redesign, although significant, it's very, very small. Processing improvements, again, very small. This phone's perfect for anyone on, say, an iPhone 11 or iPhone 12 and you want to move across. Perfect for them. For anyone else, I'd probably avoid the iPhone 16 this year, maybe wait till next year. Thank you so much for watching. To the next one, as always, we out.